I want to welcome you to Pastor Blast. Today is Tuesday, May 31st. You know, there is a great line from the last installment of The Lord of the Rings. Gimli the elf, they're about to walk into certain doom as they move into Mordor, and they're hopelessly outnumbered. But Gimli says to the whole group, "Certainty of death, little chance of success. What are we waiting for?" Lord of the Rings was written by Tolkien, and he's a Christian, and there's just many biblical themes, and this is one of them. Certainty of death, little chance of success. The people of God say, what are we waiting for? You can remember the Hebrews by the Red Sea with Moses, Pharaoh's chariots closing in, no hope. But God parts the Red Sea, they walk on dry land, salvation. Abraham is 100 and Sarah is 90, and they're still hoping to have a child, an heir. It's impossible, but Isaac is born, and the nation of Israel is born as well. The great story from Judges, where Gideon has 300 men against the Midianites, who the writer says are covering the land like locusts. Somehow Gideon is victorious. Then there's David, pimply adolescent David against Goliath the giant with all of his swords and armor and hardware that he has with him. Soon the big lunk is stoned in the head and beheaded. And the biggest one, of course, is Jesus, who is crucified and buried. No hope. And then Easter happens. Perhaps the best story and the one most applicable to our church, I think, comes from Numbers 13 and 14. It's a story about Caleb. And the Bible is all about faith and confidence, convinced that when God is with you, you're being called to move forward. Well, in this story, the Hebrews are near the promised land, and they send scouts out, very logical, to check out the land that God had promised them, and also the people occupying the lands. And they return, and there's a real consensus. The land is rich, flowing with milk and honey, desirable, fertile, promising. But the people are many. Their warriors are fierce. They're strong. They have giants. We can't possibly do that. Let's stay here or let's turn back. Well, Caleb offers what is the minority report. He says, we should take possession of the land. We can do this. If God is with us, we can do this. Well, rebuttal is offered from the other scouts who keep saying it's too scary. We're outnumbered, too risky. It's too much for us. Caleb continues, certainty of death, little chance of success. What are we waiting for? We need people like that in our lives and in our churches. We can't all be like Caleb. Many of us are more cautious and pragmatic. We need that very much in the church as well. But we need people with courage and faith and boldness because they can inspire us. There's a danger we can get paralyzed by the consequences or too comfortable that we're unwilling to risk. Well, I think faith is always calling us to be challenged. And right now as a church, we're praying, we're discerning, we're listening. Where is God calling us? What is next for us? Well, we got to remember that whatever road we go forward on, Christ goes with us. Christ is faithful and steadfast, providing, guiding, and loving us. That should give us courage. We need to be wise and pragmatic and faithful, but we also need to embrace that whole sense of boldness about certainty of death, little chance of success. What are we waiting for? That's an important element of biblical faith. My father is 88 in assisted living and now walks with a walker. And my Uncle Clyde is 92. He also just made the move to assisted living, and he is in a walker. Nevertheless, they're going fishing in Canada with my cousins and I. They've been doing this annual trip since the 60s for 60 years, and this is going to be one last time. Are they crazy? Am I crazy? Are my cousins crazy? Well, they're determined. They're going to get in and out of the boat, and I've always admired this about my uncles because they accept challenges, they take risks, and they're willing to follow their hearts even when it can look ridiculous to those people outside. There's very much that at the heart of faith, I think, for us as a congregation to realize that with God, all things are possible. Amen.